All right, friends. As always, for me, personally, talking to women is a lesson in humility. At least that has been my experience, and I'm sure for many out there that would be true. So, friends, I am Srikanth, the host for today's show. I'm today with a bunch of passionate women who feel genuinely for a cause and put in a lot of hard work, and I know many of them in person as well. Assuming leadership and roles in their life and then subsuming it at home, taking care of kids, husband, and also many of them being working women. Beyond this, they all passionately feel clean politics is needed. The president of PFL, which is People for Lok Satta in USA, she's calling all these girls PFL girls, a name that was given. So I'm with Lakshmi Gopal Krishnan from North Carolina. I have Rajani Garu from New Jersey. I have Manasa Mahathi from Boston. I have Lakshmi Manasa from New Jersey, Madhurima from Pennsylvania, and Shravanti Tirunagari from Florida. So PFL girls, I welcome you to this program. Thank you for making your time and then joining this program.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So let me start off with Lakshmi Gopal Krishnan from North Carolina. I know it's extremely intense for women dealing with so many different things as far as family is concerned, having kids, most of whom I've introduced right now being working women as well. So what drives you towards social causes, or what really drives you towards politics, cleaning politics? How do you get these thoughts? Where did it all start from, Lakshmi?
So I was raised in a middle-class family, and my parents are not inclined towards politics, but they do keep themselves updated on what's happening. And so when I grew up, and I felt like there were so many issues that we could take our life, deal with in our life, But I feel like most of my friends or most of my people around me were just focusing on their own life and their own family and children. But I felt like I wanted to do something just beyond that. In the end, for me, what gives me the personal drive and motivation to do things is to really make that difference, to be able to see that I have contributed to some sort of change. I've been able to facilitate change. I know that I cannot create change in anyone's life, but I feel like I can definitely facilitate that change to happen.
So, Lakshmi, you talked about what's your childhood like, or how's your upbringing, how your contribution towards politics is. But what's some project that you're working on currently?
As an international student here in the U.S., I came here and I was exposed to different types of people who were Indian immigrants who were living in America. And I was always under the impression that the Indian American community here has made it big and they're successful entrepreneurs and accomplished set of people. But to my surprise, I also found a whole lot of people in the working class and the low-income group who were really struggling to make it big. So I decided to sort of use this platform called the Millennial Trains Project, which is actually an opportunity created by a Fulbright scholar who went to India, and he did the Jagriti Yatra in India. And he came back and he wanted to use trains to create innovation and leaders. As you travel, you learn, and through the experiences of learning, you can either create social change or create projects that can build communities. And so this project that I'm doing is trying to capture stories of legal Indian immigrants who are living in the U.S. but are really struggling, like people who are working in restaurants, gas station workers, people who work as nannies, or people who work as chefs. So trying to see what are their social, emotional, cultural and health needs, and
Excellent.
What can we do to then, create this larger dialogue and, create structures that are more conducive for their growth.
Okay. And what's the website for this?
So if somebody just Googles the Millennial Trains Project, and they can see my application. It's called The Other Half.
millennialtrain.co. And
yes, that's right.
Seems like you'd need support as well for this, right? Can you touch up a little bit on that?
Yeah, so the way it works is you have to crowdfund yourself in order to get onto this journey. It's actually a train journey that takes you from San Francisco to DC. So you cover 10 cities in 10 days.
Okay.
And in each city you stop for 5 to 6 hours and you do your project. collecting data and documentary. I'm even planning to do a video documentary. And I have to raise $5,000 before July 15th to do this journey, but I've already raised $3,000. So I just have about $2,000 to go, and I'm hoping that with support of the Indian American community, I will definitely be able to do this.
How does somebody go on?
So they have to go on my campaign link, which is under the Millennial Change Project. If they look at the campaigns called The Other Half, they'll see my page, and they have to go on the link, and there's a right side, there's a green color button which is support this campaign. So you can just go ahead and support the campaign, and you can pay anything ranging from $1, $2 to how much, whatever they're willing to contribute to it.
Excellent. Right. So we have Manasa from Boston. Manasa, just to bring out this question to you, I know that you have one among the people who drafted this People for Lok Satta, the PFL Constitution. Intense work, a lot of thought process, and it's something. It's a handbook that drives an organization. So you already are a student in your college going as well. How tough was it, Manasa? Beyond that, you work on multiple different causes as well. But I just wanted to get a sense of these intense tasks, dealing with people, consultations, conversations, breaking your head on multiple things, and finally bringing up the Constitution for an organization which is right now running for the past few years. So what are all the hassles that you have faced, Manasa, if you could just throw some light on that?
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. NRI Samay. I'd like to start this off with a quote, actually. The emotional, sexual, and psychological stereotyping of females begins when the doctor first says, "It's a girl." This quote is by Shirley Chisholm. This aptly describes why we are having this conversation in the first place, because women for many centuries have been stereotyped and looked at in specific gender roles. Now it's changing. And when it comes to me, as a scientist and as a keen observer of life since my childhood, I've seen how my grandmother and my mother were looked at in society, and eventually me. So when I say that, my grandmother was never allowed to go to school. She's an illiterate. She was asked that you have to stay home, take care of the family, grow up, get married, have children. That's your life. Even before she could realize that was the path that was set for her. My grandmother tried to protect my mother from that life. So she sent her to school. But after 10th grade, my grandfather and the society around 1965, that time, around 1975 or 1980 in India, it was still gender roles, very set in the society. So when she was in 10th grade, she was asked to get married and start a family. She was only 15 years old. She tried, my father being very supportive, he sent her to college, but once she got pregnant, she had to drop out. She could never pursue what she really wanted to do. And when I was born, although my parents were not biased towards a boy or a girl, the society around me, even in front of me when growing up, they kept telling my mother, "Oh, you have a girl, you should have a boy." That kind of reflects what kind of society we girls are coming from. Most of us. Some are very lucky, but most of the girls are not. So when you look at all this growing up, you do feel a sense of inadequacy. You feel, why? Am I not worth it? Why should I always try to prove myself? What is wrong with me? So having this kind of observation and assimilating that into myself, I should say that I developed a rebellious streak. So if someone said, you cannot do this, I would go further, work really hard, and actually do it on par with the boys of my age, or even better than them most of the times. So I think that streak just developed over time. And now I don't even look at myself as, oh, I'm a woman, so I have to take care of the family, take care of my career, and then think of social responsibility or what I want to do with my life. Because if you think about it, a man never gets asked this question, how do you manage children and career? It's only a woman who gets asked this question. So there is still very set gender roles, stereotype gender roles in our head somewhere, brainwashed into us. So when I realized I was trying to break the mold, I took matters into my own hand. And now that I'm almost done with my PhD, and I know that I can help many other girls and many other unborn girls pursue whatever they want to do, I thought, well, it's about time I take this out into the society and do something about it.
And in U.S., in Silicon Valley, these big companies are shying away from recruiting women. You know, the rate of recruitment of women in Silicon Valley, the heart of, the tech sector of the world, it's called the tech capital of the world, right? The report says that they're hiring less women purposefully. Somewhere, as you mentioned, it is stuck in the head of these minds. I don't know. They think that it's a serious problem, no matter where it is. It's not in India or anywhere else. And when I read this report here, I was baffled to listen to this report saying that they're hiring less women in Silicon Valley. And Lakshmi Manasa, if I come to you from New Jersey, I know that you have recently worked for this Pochampalli Saris project, which is an incredible deed, and helping these weavers, the second largest community after agricultural sector. It is such a great deed, and that community is struggling. Also with the Sandy cleanup, you got married recently, came to U.S., and you quickly jumped into all this social work. The Sandy cleanup is not such an easy thing; it's an intense thing. So what's driving you, Manasa? Is it there from your childhood, from your family roots? How does it work?
Hi, Shrikant. Thank you for letting me talk in this show. Coming to the encouragement, I guess I easily get motivated and encouraged by the people around me. And as I was before here, I was in India, in Hyderabad, and there I was a daughter. So I gave my best to be a good daughter, so maybe I didn't get more chance as I'm getting now. And as soon as I moved here to US 6 months back in January, I really got a very good chance for going and seeing the place where the Sandy storm has been happened, and it's because of Suresh Ediga, and I really thank to him. And it was nice because maybe I didn't know what was actually happened in the Sandy storm when I was in India, on October 28th. But when I went there and when I saw the things there, I really got very much moved by that, and I wanted to go more and more, and till now I went 2 times there, and will be looking forward for more times also. And coming to Pochampalli Saris, I actually, I can say my biggest strength is smile. And to explain that instance, I remember the day when I was sitting in a bus stand in Hyderabad, and I was just waiting for a bus, and I passed by a very old lady, maybe 65 years or maybe more than that. She was actually begging, and she was not able to walk also. And when I saw her, I just gave whatever there in my purse except the bus ticket, the money for the bus ticket. And she was so happy at that time, and she was smiling, and she put both her hands on my head, and she was giving all the blessings she can. And I was so much moved by that, and really that smile, I can still remember her face, and I really get moved by the smile of the old age people also. So Pochampalli Saris, that's also because of Suresh Ediga, I got into that, and it's really good to help the weavers who are trying to make money from the sarees. So it's nice.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I've seen the pictures of these Pochampalli sarees that they're posting on Facebook, and a wonderful initiative. I really laud all you people doing such incredible things. Madhuri Magar, coming to you, you passionately work for this with this Raidurgam team, the Lok Satta team in Raidurgam, and it's been a consistent effort on that front. And you know the ground reality is there. I also know that you're not part of Raidurgam at all. You don't hail from that place. What's the connection, Madhuri Magar? Why do you feel so connected in doing something for a cause that you believe in?
Hi, Srikant Garu. Well, I mean, I've always been inclined towards social activities. Like, I never thought that it was like an additional thing that we are supposed to do. I thought it was something that we are all responsible, and we have to give something back. And I come from a modest middle-class family in Vijayawada, and both my parents are still working. And I mean, my parents or none of my family members were politically motivated, or they were never inclined towards any social things, but they would always make sure that I'm aware of my surroundings, my society, and I mean the society I live in. So they always made it a big deal to read the newspaper and watch news on TV, or just making myself aware of my surroundings, basically. And so that reading habit, I'm also I have been an avid reader all my life, and so I think that made me always more motivated or influenced, and basically about the generic conditions. Like, I realized that all the resources I had, or all the opportunities I had, have been more of a luxury, and a lot of people around me don't really have them, and I always wanted to do something about that. And I was more inclined on empowerment, any empowerment activities. I mean, if I read something about a dowry-related murder, then I feel very motivated to do something about it. Like, I just want. Then I think a lot about women empowerment and where the problem lies, and I just try to educate myself. And I always told myself that once I gain some financial freedom and I have the resources, then I would do something actively about it. And I always had this idea about starting an organization or some kind of school on my own. And that will basically work on empowerment. Again, it's not political or just confined to some sort of activity, but an overall empowerment. And so then I came to know about the People for Lok Satta organization in 2009, and I was interested, and I was curious more, and I joined the organization, and then I got the chance to work with this project called CPP, Constituency Promotion Project, where they are directly working with the leaders on the ground level. And I thought that was a perfect opportunity for me to do something from US. So I got involved quickly, and then I was actually randomly assigned to Raidurgam. I didn't choose, or I didn't pick it. That was the project that was coming up, and once I started learning about the leaders and what they are doing on the ground level, I liked what I was seeing, and I put my efforts. I mean, I've spent a lot of time and efforts on the ground level activities there.
And Shravantigar, I think Shravantigar is right now in Florida. My question is, with all sorts of different things happening in family, and you basically believing in a purpose or a cause or whatever it is, and a lot of people around you completely negating it. You see a sense of it, right? Whether it is politics or doing some work, there is always people who passionately support you. On the other side, there are people who are passionately, after the social forums have come into picture, each one has become a journalist, right? He puts in his views, he talks negative about it. You have so many things. How do you deal with all of this, Shravanti? Family, everything aside, and dealing with all these people who are asking multiple different questions. You're active on the social forums as well. How is it dealing with all these various distractions?
First of all, thank you, Shrikant, for inviting me to NRI Samay. I'm glad that I got an opportunity. And coming to this, from the time I have grown up, I have always been socially conscious. My dad, he's not that educated because he hasn't got an opportunity to study because he has got less responsibilities at an early age. And he made sure that his daughters or sons, doesn't matter, he never differentiated whether it's a son or a daughter. He made sure that he gave absolute freedom, whatever you want to study, yes. And he's not only that, he's a person who's very socially conscious. No matter in the middle of the night, every person, whoever knows my dad, can just come and knock on the door that he has a trouble and he's right there helping out. So I've been watching him growing up, so he always tells, like, giving back to the society is something, we need to do it. So I've been always socially conscious, and coming to it, if I believe in something, I'll just go it. Doesn't matter how much negative I have. If I believe that is true, then I'll just go it. So doesn't matter if it's negative, positive. I would rather try to convince the person, both of them, none of them are negative or positive. It's my way of thinking, or it's his or her way of thinking. But if you trust yourself and if you do right, then there is no looking back. You need to just go on your way.
Excellent. Let me go over to Rajni Garu. Rajni Garu, being a president of People for Lok Satta, an elected president, being a mother, and dealing with kids, dealing with family. You've been working for a company for a long time, and grown-up kids, and taking the role of dealing with an organization that is tied to a political party back home. Do you feel stressed out?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity, Shrikant, to come on NRI Samay. I was brought up in a middle-class family back home. And growing up, whenever I saw people around me not having a chance at life, I knew something was wrong. But I fell into the society norms, studied there, got married, came here, had kids, and raised them. And during all this time, even though I know back of my mind, life is not just this, it has to be something more than this, I wasn't doing a whole lot. And somehow I was raised to be a first family, and then my work, I work full time. Even knowing didn't make a difference that I have to contribute back to the society. I wasn't doing my best. I would donate money, I would do some volunteering, but never had the, guts, or never really took time to do something full time. So a few years ago, when kids grew up and I'm not very intensely involved in housework, then I realized that, it's like realizing one day, is this all it? And I'm given this blessed life. I have almost 90% of the population wouldn't have this kind of a life. Then if I'm blessed with so much, what is that I'm contributing back to the society? It's that kind of a thought that drove me. And yeah, life is stressed out, but the reward that I get from the work that I do is in no comparison to my other work, Kandi. I really enjoy and I feel like my life is fulfilled. So all the stress is worth it.
Excellent, excellent. So when I talk about PFL girls, right? PFL stands for People for Lok Satta, and of course it is tied to the Lok Satta vision and a party back home in Andhra Pradesh, and it's now a national party as well. It's been a national party, of course. So let me go each one of you. I wanted to, if you could put a dot and then say why you are connected to Lok Satta in one single sentence. What comes to your mind? Lakshmi Gopal Krishnan, if I can ask you, you're from North Carolina, right? So Lakshmi, if you could tell me, if you put a dot and then say, hey, this is something that grabbed my attention and that's the reason I'm associated with Lok Satta, what would that be, Lakshmi?
I think it's about citizen-centric governance, keeping people at the center of their what they want to do. So I think that is what motivates me as far as Lok Satta is concerned. So, like making leaders out of ordinary citizens to take on charge of their communities and do what they can. I think that is what really motivates me about Lok Satta.
Excellent. Manasa?
It would be that the party has no barriers for entry into politics. So basically, if you have the leadership skills and if you have it in you to fight for a social cause or run an election, or if you think you're able enough to be the next leader of India or a place in India, then you will not be asked what caste you're from, how much money you have in your bank, and what family background you have. You will be given a chance, and this is not this you will not see in any other political party, because I have tried. So this is what I like about the party, that there is someone who's trying to make a change by recruiting middle classes, recruiting people whose skills we really need. So basically, if you're hardworking, you can be in the party and be a leader. So it's the only party.
Lakshmi, Manasa.
For me, Lok Satta is a party with very much passionate people, and the party who is working and who will be working for the society, which includes all the ages, right from the children to the old age people.
Awesome. Okay. Makes sense, yeah, because the work done by these passionate people also will drive others to join. That's definitely a very good point, along with others, some people leading from the front, and then if you feel that these people are genuinely, honestly leading from the front and showing the right direction, you feel connected to it, and that's a wonderful point. Shravantika, what's something that you want to put a dot on something and then say?
Yeah, so I believe that India needs a leadership. It is like, it's not like India is having these issues because of no money, no resource. It's because of lack of leadership. So, and there has been a huge vacuum because we have great leaders right next door on the street, but there was no platform. And Lok Satta, I believe, that's the platform which is trying to find those leaders out next door who are really socially inclined, trying to bring on to the political platform and work. So once we have the right leadership in place, they know the problems and they have come out for the solutions. So if you see any Lok Satta leaders, they come up with a solution. Okay, you see this problem and this is a long-term solution to resolve that. So that's what inclines me to the Lok Satta. So we can kill this vacuum of leadership, and the right people are in the assembly representing and working on the solution.
Right. So good point. Seeing the leaders right next door, and then and that's the instant connection that you had. That's a good point as well. And Rajinigar, I know that you're very passionate about this party as well. So, but there will be some point where you thought, yes, I got to get connected to this. What would that be?
So I thought the politics was becoming more like a business, and I slowly saw it progressing, where somebody would invest money to become an MLA and then use his position to get back his money and become a really vicious circle. And I don't see a way out. How would you break that cycle? And I see Lok Satta as a way to break the cycle and make politics a level playing field for, I guess, everybody, just like Mansa and Shravanti are saying.
Right. And beyond everything, for whatever passionate things that you guys do, a lot of, when I spoke to Madhuri Magar, she said that she's trying to start up some organization or kind of a school, lot of various things that comes into your mind. And of course, you've been socially inclined and working towards various different causes. How does the society react to your commitment? Let's imagine you're doing something, right, and that will be visible. In these days, everyone is visible with what kind of work they do, and with all the social forums around us, definitely possible that each one of them knows what the other person is doing. So how is the reaction if we talk Lakshmi Gopal Krishnan for all the work that you do? What's the kind of reaction that you see from your friends, family? If you could share some details.
I feel like there's no one single reaction, but different people react differently. Like my parents, whenever I had intensely campaigned for the elections, and so I spent almost a month volunteering all my time outside of work for the elections. So they were complaining that I'm not spending any time with them. But I think otherwise they've been they have always encouraged me to take on these things. And I think one of the reasons I'm on this show and I'm doing what I'm doing in my life is because my parents always allowed me, or they always gave me that encouragement to really follow my dreams and to do what I want. And they never put any restriction on me. Like I am 30 and I'm not married, and this is pretty unusual for an Indian girl. And I came to the US last year. So the thing is, I feel like my family has always encouraged me to take on what I want. And as far as my friends are concerned, they're really proud that I'm doing whatever. I have the conviction to follow my heart and do what I want. So, but there are also certain sets of people who do say things like, oh, what can you do? What can one person, how can one person make the difference? Or how can one person change politics? Because it's so dirty, you cannot do anything. But, I feel like that's how change begins. Like, just small people committed who want to start and make a difference. Like, I think, and Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan is a prime example. Like, he was one single soldier fighting, and then he made this party so successful. So I think he's my role model in so many ways. And I really want to follow on the footsteps of these kind of leaders who have really showed that a single person's commitment can take you so far. And there will be people who will pull you down, but you should just carry on with your own dreams and not pay much attention to other people who may want to distract you. So, but I'm happy that I have met more people who encourage me than discourage me actually. So.
Yeah, what's the sense you get, Manasa? What did people say for the kind of work that you do, for the initiatives that you take?
Okay. Well, let's face it. Everybody knows that there is a dearth of really good people in politics. When I say good, it's a subjective term, but what I mean is that people who are able, who can lead, who have good character and are sincere. So when there's there are very few people like us and like you, Shrikant, and like a few others that we know. And when such people come out into the society at large accepts you because they know that when they realize or when they see the passion in you, they know that you are there for the betterment of the society, and something will come out of you that will help some people in the society. So society always gives you an encouraging hand, although there may be some people who criticize your viewpoints or things like that you mentioned. When it comes to family is not thinking of the society, they're thinking of you. So they're more worried about whether, you're going to spend too much time, and as you asked Rajni Garu, are you going to be stressed out? Are you going to Are you going to have health problems because you're taking all this time out and sometimes going out and campaigning and going out in the sun, doing all this work? So they do tell us that, try to avoid certain situations just because they're concerned about us. It's not because I feel they don't want to discourage us, but once they see that we are committed and this is our life's calling and we want to do this, the encouragement starts to show. Only thing is they just ask us to be more careful. That's what I feel that. And when it comes to my family, my husband's very supportive. My father is very supportive. I lost my mother when I was 17. But my grandmother, she always asked me to go do whatever you want, but just be careful. So now it's a lot better. In the initial stages, it was, what is going to happen to you? Just be careful. So it's out of concern, I feel.
I can imagine. Lakshmi Manasa, what's the kind of support you receive, Lakshmi?
I can say I just started doing things 6 months back. So maybe I'm here away from my family and away from my in-laws' family. So, and got support from my husband. So there is no other things right now in my path. So maybe I can lead in the same way I am right now.
So Madhurima Garu, so if, with all the work that you do, it's all visible work, incredible things that you guys take up. So what's something that your near and dear people or your friends and family say about this?
Society won't let you live your own personal life, and it's not a surprise that when you put yourself in the society and you are actively involved in the society, you will be subjected to criticism and people's judgments. And we cannot run away from it, and we cannot try to ignore it. We have to face it. And I have faced a lot of harsh criticism, and I have been judged. Especially initially, I was frustrated and demoralized. There were days, literally, when I just wanted to stay in my apartment. I didn't want to get out. And then actually, once you get through that phase, those criticism actually will make you stronger, will help you evolve as a stronger person. And there will be always people who will actually respect and admire your decisions. And I had to make some tough decisions at the very early phase in my life, and I still face the consequences for it. But we just have to accept that people are always going to say something, no matter what you do. So we should never try to shy away from criticism, and it's not just strangers. From your own family members and from your friends. And I don't think they're trying to be mean. They're trying to put you down. It's just we have to understand that they themselves don't understand. They're ignorant. And we just have to go forward and do whatever we feel like doing. If we believe in something and we respect our decision that it is correct, then I strongly feel that we should just go ahead and do it no matter what. And people will eventually come around and they will appreciate what we are doing. So, and yes, based on criticism, talking about criticism, there are so many things that I have faced. And especially from educated people, from people who think that they are socially and politically motivated. I faced criticism from them, which made me, very confused. Especially like last year when I was on the ground level and involved in political activities. There were politicians, women who are managing families, and they are politically more active than me, and they were criticizing me for being on the ground and going around and campaigning.
Insane.
So we just have to realize that there will be always people who will be judging you no matter what, but we still have to move on.
Right. And in Anna Hazare's campaign, I still remember, and one of the fundamental things that Anna Hazare was telling the cadre or people who are in the India Against Corruption movement again and again and again is that you strongly could do something, or your resolve would be very strong if you can absorb the kind of criticism, because the kind of criticism that's going on around the whole spectrum of things is so incredible that anyone and everyone is subjective to some kind of weird judgments, right? So I can definitely understand. Yeah.
I just want to comment here. So when you say that you undergo criticism, or any person, man or woman, undergoes criticism when they're in public life, it is not right, I feel, because for a woman it is a little more intense. I tell you why. Because in India, because Madhurima was speaking about in the election campaign, in India is going through a transition phase right now. You have a population, a certain part of society that still lives in the past with the traditional customs as to how a woman should wear a sari and sit at home and take care of children. You have a modern side of society where a woman can do whatever she wants, and she can go get an education, get a job, and work in the field. So when there's a collision course, it's a transitionary society. We are not yet completely modern, and we are not yet completely traditional. We're coming out of it. So when Madhurima, for example, goes out campaigning outside, the kind of criticism that she just mentioned, that she hears from people, is because of this transition that's going on. It's the old thought process that's still there, and they tell her that, oh, why are you out? Why are you doing this? This is not expected of a woman. It is more intense for a woman to face that. But when we understand that this is a transitional process and we're going towards a better future, it kind of gives us a better perspective, and we shouldn't be that hard on ourselves. Because when you're the first person, or when you're the initial few who's trying to bring the change, it is definitely tougher for us. The future generations will have it much easier.
And Shravanti garu, asked you about how do you deal with all these people, various people that you deal with, negativity, positivity, but I still wanted to go and then ask you, what are your close, your mom, dad, or your husband, mom of 2 kids? I don't know whether your kids are they're too young, otherwise they would have asked you something, right? Mom, you're spending some on many different things about it, right?
Yeah. So I would categorize the discouragement into different ways. The discouragement from the family out of concern, or discouragement from XYZ or something. So I have been an outspoken person from a young age, and as a woman, if you're outspoken, you have to face the criticism. So I've been over it, because I'm a person who believes in living your life in your way, because if I look back, I don't want to hear that, oh, I didn't do certain things because I got the critics from XYZ who I really don't care. So my family has been always supportive, and the only person, if they have any issues, then I would rather try to care and resolve it, saying that, hey, this is what it is. So the person whom I care matter in my life, so I would rather try to bring into the agreement, and the rest I really don't care about criticism. If I believe in something, I'll just go ahead and do it. And coming to the politics, yeah, there has been critics, because, as I said, my kids are really young, 6 and 2. So I rather like to become more efficient in time management. So I focus on politics as well as this one. But the reason for me to get into the politics, I have always been associated with NGOs and everything previously. But you know what? I always ask a question. Like when I see I'm educating a girl's child, but the question is like, why should I even educate a girl's child? A system is in place where I'm paying taxes, and that should be doing the job. So why am I doing the job? So in other words, I have to sack that person and bring the right person into the place. So my job should be putting the right leaders into the place, and that's how politics. I hear politics is bad, but politics is a very great service. Unfortunately, there are wrong people sitting out there. So So, and I do this because after becoming a mother, I became more responsible. Because, after being a mother, I care, how I'm going to bring up, how they're going to get educated, how they should have good values. But, okay, let me prep my son and my daughter with the good values. But when I move sending to the society, and if I don't work towards a better society, I won't be holding my kids in the house, right? I have to leave them in the society. And the society, I didn't do anything to improve the society. So I wish like every mother takes equal responsibility of doing good things at home as well as to give back to the society and make the society better. Then, you can happily lay back and sit down and relax, thinking that your kid's going to be left out in the world and where there are nice people around.
Right. Very true. In this context, right, I wanted to ask this because there's this lot of beating around the bush on this particular aspect of things. Would really women's reservation bill, do you think women's reservation bill should make it? Let me start off with Lakshmi Gopalakrishnan. What do you think about women's reservation bill, Lakshmi? Because I remember way back in 90s, early 90s, right? I remember Kotla Vijayabhaskar Reddy, the then Congress Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, he passed a legislation or whatever it is, a bill that says that women should be given 33% reservation in and eventually it benefited even my wife. I've been telling this on an earlier show as well once. Because my wife hails from a very remote village town called it's a town called Adoni, and she got an X rank and I got a Y rank. So it's like me staying in city with all the tuition facilities and every top class facilities that is available. I got a rank which is very close to her, And for her, with no big colleges there, studying in a very remote town where there are no facilities, she has been biking and then going to a college there, and then that reservation basically helped her. She's much smarter than me, and it was very, very useful idea for women at that point in time. What do you think? Do you vote for a women reservation bill?
This is Monica Boston, and it's a strong yes for me because, as you just mentioned, there are some statistics, really, really alarming statistics. The Thomas Reuters Foundation survey says that India is the fourth most dangerous place in the world for women, and among G20, we are the worst country. Child marriage is still prevalent in India. Domestic violence is a big problem in India. Dowry deaths are also a big problem in India. Every 77 minutes, a woman is killed because of dowry. There is a rape in India, and we recently know about the student who was raped in Delhi that caused international headlines. All these problems are women's problems, and we need more representation in the government, in the parliament, in the assemblies, because who will raise these issues in the parliament? It will be women. And right now, whoever we have, the numbers are not enough. There is strength in numbers always. And the kind of women we have in the parliament and assembly, most of them are wives of ex-politicians. And some of them are strong, like Mrs. Renuka Chowdhury, for example, and Purandeshwari in Andhra Pradesh. They're very strong women who can do something, but they're just not enough. So bringing this reservation, 33%, will, I feel, open up a lot of constituencies and parliamentary seats for women, where women can contest and become a bigger voice and resolve, or at least try to find possible solutions to so many problems that we have. I mean, we do compare our economy to USA, UK, and say we're growing at this rate. But as I just said, we have to still, we have leaps to go when it comes to equality for men and women in India. And this reservation will do it. And it's not just enough, but it's the first step. And I'm a strong yes for it.
Yeah. Lakshmi Gopalakrishnan, are you strong yes or strong no? Or maybe?
I would say strong yes, but also see, I feel like women's empowerment can only happen even if you educate the men, you know. I think a lot of feminists get carried away in saying that women can only fight for women's issues, but I feel like men have to be equally involved, because domestic violence can easily be prevented if you have like a supporting partner who, or a dowry harassment case can easily be prevented if the husband is strongly supporting the wife and telling his parents to, you know, stop harassing his wife for money or whatever the reasons are. So now, and I believe that yes, having the women's reservation, having enough number of women physically present in political, like in parliament and assemblies, is going to help raise the issues. But there has to be also a certain mindset change, and involving men in like gender sensitization, I think, is equally important if you are saying that women's issues have to be addressed, you know.
Yeah, one thing I definitely agree is, you know, any kind of education is extremely critical in addressing these kind of issues, you know. Now let's talk about lack of voting, right? There is no place I was reading the CBSE. I was studying in a CBSE school. I've never come across in my childhood somebody saying that vote is extremely important because you're living in a democratic country, right? If somebody would have educated, the first thing somebody will do at 17 years of age or 18 years of age, when you come to the age of where you can register for vote, I would just go and then do it because I know that I've been educated that way. You know, Manasa was also right, because when you look at what's happening in India right now, right, there are many of these casual factors, you know, very casual factors for the lack of presence of women in Indian politics. You know, some are very subtle and some are very apparent, which she also mentioned. You know, closely observing this traditional patriarchal attitude, wherein a lot of these people, because of lack of basic education, they regard women as physically, intellectually, socially inferior. You know, I've seen these people firsthand, right in front of me, you know, very closer to me also. So I think for me, I personally feel that education is going to turn around anything and everything, you know, if it is imbibed in a proper sense. Let's go to Rajnika. What do you think? Do you put an S or a no or maybe on the women's reservation? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's an S&D, but the thing is, just like everybody is saying, the society change. I'm not proud of saying this, but let me admit, when I do all this work and my son brings a B grade home, I feel that what am I doing? Why am I focused so much on outside when this is slipping now? That's the first thought. I'm not saying I'm hell-bent and I stop it. No. But since even today, that thought comes to my mind, and over the period of time, I had to really say, no, whatever I show him as an example, set an example of giving back to the society, that's going to be much, much more valuable than occasional slip in one grade. That's okay. But thought goes there, Shrikant, and I don't know how to term it as why that happens. No clue, but that's how it is, and that has to change. That thought should even come.
I agree with you. Many times, you know, when I see my mom, I feel like, what if a leadership role is given to my mom, you know? Such an extremely capable woman. I sometimes I joke with my mom saying that, hey mom, why not you in politics? Why didn't you try that? You know, all these kinds of conversations I also do with her. She'll be asking me, why the hell are you pushing so hard, you know? What about your health? And I generally ask her, Mom, forget about me. You should have tried it, you know. Yeah. Given some leadership roles and that environment wherein they can also get through into all of these, that'll be incredible. I don't know how it works out though. Let's see. But Lakshmi, Manasa, what's your thoughts?
Maybe yes, because as you said earlier, the case of the situation of your wife, and I even faced the same. I did my schooling from 1st to 10th in Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. And I came to Hyderabad in inter, that is 11th class. So, and at the time when I wrote my MSET in 2006, I was not eligible for the I was not completely eligible for the seat in the engineering college because of some quota, and I did all my schooling in other state rather than in Andhra Pradesh. There was some other quota for me. I think that is called NRI quota or something. And because of that, there are only 3% of seats available for the people like me. And the only thing that supported me at the time was the girls' quota, and that is 33% of reservation. And because of that only, I think I got the seat in the engineering college, and then I did my engineering.
Excellent. Madhurima, let me go over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm up for any bill or right that uplifts women's position in the society. But I believe that just the right to education or right to property or having reservations, I mean, they are must-haves, undeniably must-haves, but they are just a small part of the equation. And all the statistics that Manasa mentioned, if you take dowry deaths or female infanticides, any women-related issues, they all happen, if you dig deeper, they all happen in highly educated families. So education is definitely necessary, financial independence is necessary, but unless a woman is not empowered, and like Lakshmi Garu mentioned, also men needs to be empowered, that's also needed. Women's position is never going to change, and I don't see that empowerment being, that happening right now. I don't see women's conditions or situations changing. We are not in a better position as we were like 200 years back. A lot of people would not agree with me, but actually that's the truth. And you mentioned patriarchy, and patriarchy is just getting stronger and stronger every day. So that doesn't mean, that's a very good measure to women's empowerment. We are going nowhere. First, we have to understand why we are in this position, and we have to use the education in the right sense. And I don't think that's happening right now.
Yeah, one chapter on how important women. It all starts from Amma. That's how it all started, right? So. That's where you leave it, and after that, there's no absolute education on how important a woman is for the society. I'm not saying that it should be a conscious choice, but it's something very. It should have been a natural choice for anybody to come up with such a chapter, right? I'm also talking about the importance of vote. I'm also talking about other things. So, as important as other chapters are, like you recently have seen. Priyanka Chopra making it to the first chapter in the CBSE syllabus, as important as these people feel, I think there's a huge gap in understanding. For me, democracy is truly egalitarian, where both men and women are equal partners, right? In shaping our nation, they are equal partners, and one chapter that can educate in these lines would also be incredible, right? So yeah, I can imagine. Excellent point. So
it's an excellent point. We need more men like you who think like you, that for democracy to function at its fullest potential, you need to bring in women into the picture at all levels. Because if you look at most developed nations, it's only when women got equal rights, when they came into the society at all levels, be it workforce or be it politics, that's when the economy took off. And that is the biggest lesson for us Indians and other countries where patriarchy is the norm, that it is not just women's issues, it is the country's issue. If you want a country to prosper quickly, bring that 50% of the population, which is women, into all fields instead of just forcing them to do things like stay at home. And Madhurima also mentioned an excellent point that education itself is not enough. There are many women graduates who end up getting married and not really using their degree for anything other than, looking after the family. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, it's their choice, but for the country it is not, because that's a degree. It has potential to put into the country's economy, and that's a resource that the government spent on this person, educating that person.
And India, after 65 years of independence, having just 10%. 10% is the highest that we made it for this Lok Sabha. I think we have to do more and more conversations with women, talk to them, what do they think about politics. That's also very critical thing. I really appreciate Rajni garu bringing up this idea of having a conversation, because it's absolutely important. Of course, social work is a big winner for our society, which is where the gap between the rich and poor is absolutely growing, and the inflation is high. We need people who can come and help. But along with that, talking about politics, women showing at least little interest. We are doing a 1-hour conversation here. Talking a little bit, opening up and then talking is absolutely critical. We have to understand that the Arab countries are having 27 to 28% of women representing, and we being in India talking about democracy and having 10%, this Lok Sabha, it's, the gap is a poor reflection of Indian democracy, and we got to really understand that. And we got to educate as many women as possible that this gap is not acceptable. Also, it is not the question of bringing women in politics as a policy, right? But it's also bringing them in, it's not bringing them in politics is sheer discrimination as far as I'm concerned. And Rajni garu, I'll go to you, and then I think we're coming closer to this.
To all of them, right, Shrikant? And you understand how assertive they are. They know what exactly they want, and it's really awesome to listen to them. And the biggest thing that I notice in others is everybody wants to do good, but they cannot come up and say, I want this and I'm going to do it. That assertion is lacking. That's what I think is the biggest hurdle. Even the recent book by Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In, she talks about the same thing. If something got accomplished, and if you ask a man, how did you do this? He says, I'm awesome. That's how I got it done. Duh. But if you ask a girl, she says most of the girls would attribute their success to external factors. I got into this at the right time, somebody helped me, things like that. And then they will add, of course, I did the work too. That, I think, is across the board somehow majority of women have in their mindset. I think that is the biggest hurdle. And
yeah. Very true, Andy. And, the will to implement, I think Lakshmi Gopalakrishnan mentioned it, a lot of laws around us, and the will to implement also would change. I just want to bring up one example of an interview that we did with Shanta Sinha, the Raman Magsaysay Award winner, a Central University professor, and a decade of her intense efforts finally abolished the child labor. In our country right now, because of the strong implementation, I want to really bring this up because she is now head of National Child Welfare. It's a government body. I'm not getting the full name properly, but she heads the Child Protection, National Child Protection Institute, or whatever it is, which I can tell you later on as well. But she is the one who fought relentlessly to make sure that kids are not hired for working in houses and child labor, wherever it is. Nowadays I'm seeing this is one thing that has extremely worked well in our country, and people are scared of doing it. Even the maid servants are not bringing their kids to work, and if they are bringing it, these people who are hiring them, of course it is still rampant, but proper implementation. She oversees all this procedures, policies, and practices of this bill and law, and it's really going well. At least in Andhra Pradesh, there's a drastic downfall of hiring these young kids for work purposes. So I think implementation, will, vigor, education, and also women coming out in the open and discussing, involving in all these conversations, taking a sneak peek at how politics work in our country, what's good, what's bad, educating their own kids, educating men, all these are needed for a better society. And a democracy is complete when men and women, they both, that's the bringing them together. Both men and women are equal partners in molding a nation. And I really, really appreciate all of you PFL girls, Lakshmi Gopalakrishnan, Rajini Garu, Manasa Garu, Lakshmi Manasa Garu, Madhurima Garu, and Shravanti Tirana Garu, from all wherever places you joined today for this conversation. I sincerely appreciate your time, and thank you for joining. It's a great conversation, and airing this on NRI Samay this Sunday is a great sense of pleasure, pride, and honestly, a great sense of satisfaction as well for NRI Samay. Thank you very much, friends.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Srikant.
Friends, if you liked today's show, please go to youtube.com/NRI Samay and click on the subscribe button. You will get notified every time we publish a new show. And you can also like us on our social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Google+.